So here the twist is this won't work. For example, 14th June, so this is July, so let me go to June, 14th June, and click on the go button, and now you can see the no data is coming. So why the date of joining is not working? Now let us try to understand. So let me run the data service. Right. So when I hit this particular OData service, when the date is when the data is coming from backend to the front end, all of you observe this date of joining. The date of joining, whenever it is traveling from backend to the front end through the OData service, the OData service is giving the date of joining in YY-MM-DD. Okay, so in this particular format, who is giving to me? The OData layer is giving to me. Actually, my date is not stored in this particular format, even in the backend. So even if you go to the backend and see, the date is not stored in this particular format, YY-MM-DD. Okay, so basically this particular format of date. So this T0000 you can ignore. This is not required because the data type is only DATS. DATS means date only. So basically we need to, whenever the date is passing from front end to the back end or back end to the front end, the date must be converted in this format, YY-MM-DD. So if the date is not converted in this format, then you will get the problems. Okay, so this particular format is called a format when it is transferring through the OData channel from either from backend to the front end or even from front end to the backend. So we know that SAP UI5 definitely talk to the OData service, and we need to send the data through OData service only. Correct? So whatever we are sending, that is we are calling through OData service. So the bottom line is we need to convert the date into this format first, and then only we need to send it to the backend as a filter. Okay, so that is the reason it is not working. Now how can I convert the date into this format? If you remember our table, so let me just reset. So if you remember the table is already showing the date of joining in a whatever the required format, how you converted this date of joining into DD-MM-YYYY. However, we want a reverse. We want YYYY-MM-DD. But anyway, my question is, when you can convert the date into DD-MM-YYYY, you can also convert the date into YYYY-MM-DD, correct? So let us go and recap how we did this. We have created a formatter.js, and inside the formatter.js we created a formatter function called format date, and in this format date we created the pattern like this, isn't it? So you can create one more function for format date during filtering like this. So format date during filtering, and you can supply the date of joining as an input, and this pattern, you change the pattern into whatever the pattern that you want, YYYY-MM-DD, and you return that date of joining. Okay, so whoever calls this particular function, whoever calls this function with the date as an input, date of joining as an input, they will get the date in a YY-MM-DD format. Okay, all right. So how can I call this function from my controller? Let us understand. So if you remember, we already loaded the formatter in our controller at the top as a library. Okay, and the entire controller file is represented with this particular, the entire formatter file is represented with the name formatter. So I can simply take formatter, which is pointing to my formatter.js file, and I can say my formatter dot means inside the formatter.js. This function I need to call format date during filtering. So call that and pass your date of joining as the input. I passed the date of joining as the input. Now when I call this particular function, so what this function is returning? The function is returning my date of joining by converting it into YYMMDD. So let me take it in the same variable. So again I am saving that in the same variable. So date of joining, initially I read it from the date picker, and this date of joining is passed to the formatter function, and whatever formatter is returning, again I am checking that and saving in the same variable date of join. Okay, so once this conversion from your get date value into this particular format, that is YYMM-DD, so once the conversion is over, now this becomes again a string. Okay, so since this particular date of joining is a string now, again you need to write date of joining not equals to empty. Okay, so you need to compare date of joining not equal to empty, because once after the formatting is over, your date of joining becomes a string. So you need to write date of joining not equals to empty. Then you can push it. So that's all. Now let us see if this works or not. Why it is not loading? There are no errors, so it should load. Yeah, sometimes maybe loading will be slow because of the Business Application Studio. Yeah, so it has loaded, but it has taken some time, that's all. Now let me, why the data is not coming? Data should come, right?
Still null.
Yeah, we have not clicked the go button where the null will come into picture. Null, all those things come into picture when you click on the go button, right? So before the go button, you will get the only view code. Seems like okay, that's fine. Yeah, okay. So data has come. I think a little slow. Now let us test with the date of joining. This is June 14th, and click on the go button. Now this should get filtered with the 14th June 2024. Yep, so this has filtered with 14th June 2024. Actually, it won't take this much time, guys. This is we are working from a trial version of Business Application Studio. So normally the trial versions will be a little slow in when sending the request and all. So that is the reason. Okay. All right. Now let me click on the reset, and you can see the data has come and the date has gone into blank. Okay. So similarly, I can select, for example, 21st June 2024. Now let me click on the go button. Yeah, so this has filtered, and click on reset. Yeah, so on the overall, so that is how you need to send the date filter. So remember, so whenever you are sending the date from front end to the back end or back end to front end, anyway, the OData layer will take it. But when you are sending from front end to the back end, so you need to convert the date into YY-MM-DD. All right. So next one, we are going to add the sorting here, just like this one. So sorting, let us just recap how to apply the sorting through the OData service URL. So we need to write the base OData service URL and then your entity set. So just like here, question mark dollar filter, the way you have written. So similarly, we need to write question mark dollar order by equals to. So this is part of the syntax. And for a filter, there are 3 parameters required. One is OData field, second one operator, and third one value. But for sorting, only 2 fields are required. One is OData field and second one is the ascending order or descending order. Okay. Now the way to construct this particular URL, what we are doing, so we dependent on a library, that is filter library, SAP UI/model filter library. So using the filter library, we pushed, we created the filter, each filter, and we pushed it into the array. And then what we did, so after pushing all the required filters into the array, so we said get the items binding and then dot filter. So this particular dot filter will be converted like question mark dollar filter equals to, and followed by all the filters. So within the dot filter we passed the array, so the array contains all your filters. Now same approach you need to follow even for sorting, even for the sorting. So first of all, let me show you with a hard-coded example the sorting, and then we'll go dynamically. Okay. So we need to declare one more array called array of sorters equal to empty array initially. Okay, and we also need to add a library for sorting. So SAP/UI/model/sorter, and you need to give the shortcut name here. So I've given the shortcut name sorter. Now at the bottom, I'm just so without creating this particular screen, I have not yet created this screen, but I'm just giving some default sorter. For example, my array of sorter dot push. So all of you observe how to construct a sorter. So the way you are creating a filter, similarly you need to create a sorter. So you need to write new sorter, and within the round brackets, the first one is OData field, for example salary, salary. And second parameter, what is the second parameter? First parameter is OData field. Second parameter is either ascending or descending. So in the OData service URL, the ascending, if it is ascending, we write ASC. For descending, we write DESC. This is from the OData service URL. But this is your new sorter is the library. So basically the library takes, for descending order, we need to write true here. When you write true, this particular library automatically convert the true as DESC when it is converted like a URL. Okay. And if it is ascending order, you need to write false as a second parameter. Okay. So this is OData field, and second parameter is either true or false. True for descending, false for ascending. Remember. Okay. So as of now, let me give true. That means a descending order. Okay. And then you need to repeat this particular statement. Get binding items dot sort. So till here it is same, get binding items, and then dot sort. So dot sort will be converted like question mark dollar order by. Okay. And then you need to pass your array of sorters. That's all, guys. So anyway, this is a hard-coded sorting without I created this particular screen. I have not created any separate section on the screen, but let us see if the data gets sorted on the descending order of the salaries. So this I have created just to understand how to apply the sorting. So once you understand how to apply the sorting, then we can create this particular part of the screen. Now let's refresh. I think this got refreshed already. Now I can simply click on the go button because my logic is written inside the go button. So if I click on the go, automatically the data should get sorted in the descending order of the salary. So click go. And here you can see, so this got in the descending order of the salaries, 15 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 5 lakhs. So that means my sorting is working. So now you understand how to apply the sorting. So this is it goes on the same way how you apply the filter. Okay, so let me summarize. So you need to declare an array that is called array of sorters, and then you push your sorter using this library new sorter, and it takes two parameters. One is the OData field name, and second one is either true or false. True for descending and false for ascending. That's all. Okay, and you need to apply this statement at the end. Now let us go to the screen designing. So I'm commenting this line. So let's go to the screen designing and create a separate section now. Okay, so this is filter section, this is sorting section. So now we are using the grouping concept inside the simple form. So is it not a grouping concept inside the simple form? We already completed the simple form layout, right? So in the simple form layout, we have the grouping concept. So I can group the fields with a title. Okay, so let's do that now. And whenever the grouping concept came into picture, you need to give your empty span 0. So this also we covered as a part of the layout itself, simple form layout. So let me give the label span, little increase the label span. That is fine. Now I am giving the core title. So core title is something which is the group title. So I'm giving filters as a group title here. Now copy this group title and keep your new title here. So after the date picker is over, I am creating my new group, that is sort. Right, sort. That's all. Now under the sorting, what I need to do? So I need to ask the end user, select your sort field. So on which field you want to do the sorting. Select your sort field and select your sort order. So both the things you need to select. So this is a drop-down UI element and this is a radio button group. Okay. So let us go and write a combo box here. The combo box with ID as ID sort field. And within the combo box, I need to keep all the items. I can hard code all the items by using core item text equal to employee ID and the key. So key should be the OData field name because I need to send my OData field and then the second parameter as true or false. So basically here it should be a OData field, right? So give the corresponding OData field as a key because we read the key when you select a value. So EMB ID. Now copy this. This is name. This is also a name, and then let's copy this. Name this skill. I'm not keeping all the fields, but you can keep all the fields, whatever you want. Let me write salary. Okay, so these are enough. 4 fields for the sorting. Now this is a combo box for selecting the column or field on which you want the sorting. So let's keep the label as sort field and combo box. Now let's have a look at the output window. So now you can see this is filtered section and this is sort section. And at the sort, so we have selected the sort field. So I can select any of them. And now we need to ask, so what is the order in which you want? So we need to ask the sort order. Okay. So let us create a label followed by the radio button group. So this is where the multi-value UI elements will come into picture, my dear friends. So that's why we covered the multi-value UI elements at the beginning. And this is a sort order. And we need radio button group. ID equal to ID. This is sort order, right? Sort order. Now inside the radio button groups, the aggregation is buttons, and inside that it's radio button. So for radio button, we have text that is ascending. We do not have key. Remember, we do not have key for the radio button. So D, E, S, C, and D. Ascending. Okay. Now let's have a look how it appears in the output. Now this is how it appearing. I want the ascending and descending, both of them side by side, and I do not want the ascending to be selected by default. So can anybody from the audience, if you remember, can you tell me how I can place ascending and descending side by side and how to remove the default selection for the ascending? Anyone?
Side by side, I think that H box or something we have. Right?
No. Any other answer?
Grid.
For radio button group. Okay, so side by side, leave it. How can I make none of the radio buttons to be selected? I don't want any of the radio button to be selected. So by default ascending is selected, right? So I do not want that. Anybody? It is covered in multi-value UI elements topic. Okay, I will give a hint. There is a property which you can use to make none of the radio buttons selected. What is that property? Anyone? Okay, so it is selected index equals to -1. If you give selected index equal to -1, none of them will be selected, and there is a columns property for radio button. So if you give columns equals to 2 automatically, so both of them will go side by side. Okay, that's all. Yeah, so none of the radio buttons got selected and both of them came side by side. Okay, all right guys. So now we need to write the logic part. So the logic part is first we need to read the value from the sort field. So this becomes your field in your library. Okay, so you should not forget that the library needs two things. One is the field name and sort order. Okay, so field name you can get it from this drop down, and the order you can get it from the radio button group. Okay, right. So let's write now. So I can write it here itself. So variable sort field equals to this by id sort field. So what is id sort field? Id sort field is nothing but this combo box. So I'm pointing to this combo box. By pointing to the combo box, can you tell me how can I read the selected value? I need to read the selected value, right? So how can I read this selected value? Sorry, this one. How can I read the selected value on the combo box? Come on.
But get selected field.
Get selected T. That's the correct answer. Okay. Right. So now sort field is over. Next one is sort order, right? So how can I read the sort order? Come on. Come on. Sort order is this radio button group. So how to read the value from the radio button group? Anybody? How to read the value from the radio button group?
Get value.
Get
Value.
Radio button will not give the value. So this is something which I know specifically pointed out in the multi-value UI element. Huh?
Index.
Yeah, index. So get selected index. So you need to write get selected index. So now here you will be getting the index, not the value. So what you can do is you can write a simple if condition. If your index is equals to for example 0. Okay. So if sort order is 0, then what you can do, keep the sort order as 0 means ascending order, right? 0 means ascending order, 1 means descending order. I repeat once again, 0 means ascending order, 1 means descending order. For ascending order in the library, what I need to keep? For ascending order, I need to keep false. For descending order, I need to keep true. So I will keep my sort order as false for ascending order, and else I will keep sort order as true. Okay, did you understand what I said? Actually, I need the sort order either true or false, but this statement gives me the index. But my library, if you see this particular library, the library takes what as second parameter? It takes either true or false as the second parameter. It won't take your 0 and 1. Correct? So to construct this particular second parameter, I declared the sort order variable, but when I read it from the radio button group, it is giving me index. Then what I am doing, if this index is 0, I am placing false, otherwise I am placing true for descending order. Okay, so now I will copy this statement and I will put it here. I will uncomment it. My array of sorters dot push new sorter. Now I need to keep the sort field and sort order. So sort field is here. No need to hard code, and my sort order is here. That's all. Okay. Now let us see if this works or not. Format the document. So let us take, for example, the name, descending order, click go. And you can see Babji at the top. Yeah, it is working. Descending order. Yes, it is working. Okay. So let us take skill, ascending order. ABAP should come at the top. Descending order, SAP UI5 should come. And let us take salary. Ascending order, it's already in the ascending order. Let's click descending order. Yes, it is in the descending order, and click ascending order. Yes, it is working. And when I click on the reset, so again this entire thing should be gone and the table should come to its original position. So how can you do this? So go to the reset and again copy your what is that, your get selected key. So now copy this. So this by ID sort field dot set selected key, set selected key as empty. Okay, and your radio button group is there, right? So point out to the radio button group and you need to say set, come on, selected. For radio button
Index.
group, what we need to write? Set selected index. Set selected index, that is correct answer. And you need to give -1 because you don't want any of them to be selected. And the way you have written dot filter empty, so similarly copy this particular statement and keep get binding items dot sort also empty. That means I don't want whatever the sorting applied previously, remove that sorting. Okay, so that is the meaning. So let me apply the sorting on the salary. So it has sorted. Now let me click on the reset. Yeah, so this has again came back and even this one got reset. Okay, so that's all. This is how you need to apply the sorting and filtering. So in tomorrow's class, we are going to introduce the grouping concept. So SAP has beautifully designed the grouping concept also as a part of the sorting. So we'll see how to group the data. Okay, right. So what is grouping and all that we will see in tomorrow's class.